All right, so we are going to take our test on factoring and polynomials. Don't forget to get it signed. It's going to cover adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, and factoring. There's a couple of review questions. There are 15 total questions, so let's have a glance at number 1. If we're looking for factors, that means we are multiplying. So always look for a GCF first, which there is not one. And then you want to do your snowflake, right? So on snowflake, A, C, B, A, and A, right? So -10, -9, 5, and 5. So what are the factors of -10 that equal -9? So we did talk about in the calculator, you could make a graph of that where you have your AC and you divide it by X. We don't really care what the graph looks like for that. We do want to look at the table. So we are looking for the factors of -10 that will equal -9. And right here we can see 1, +1, -10. Also keep in mind, pay attention to your C. If C is negative, our signs are different. So we have a -10 and a +1. We said you need to make sure that you reduce. 1/5 does not reduce, so we're just going to swing forward our number. This does reduce, -2/1, and swing forward. So our factors are x minus 2 and 5x plus 1. Okay. Number 2, quotient. So this is dividing. We need to set it up. Remember, you can graph to see if things overlap. To check these, we need to start with our first term. X times x is x squared. But here's where some of us struggled. You have to multiply this x by both pieces. Then we have to change our signs. -2 and -1 is a -3. Bring down our -3. So now what times x is -3x? -3. And again, multiplying by both. -3, -3. Change your signs. You get 0. So my quotient is x minus 3. What is the factorization? So again, complete by filling in the blanks. Notice always GCF first. There is a GCF between 4 and 8 and -12. You can use the calculator for that, or you can use Desmos. So, and you just would physically type GCF, and then we would say parentheses 4, 8, 12 if you didn't know, and then it tells us 4. So when you take out that GCF, remember you are dividing everything by that GCF. So if we take out a 4, we're left with x squared plus 2x minus 3. So now our A is 1, our B is 2, and our C is -3. So now we can do our snowflake. AC, -3, B is a +2, A is 1. Notice again, our C is negative, so that means our signs are different. Positive, negative. Well, the only thing that makes 2 when we multiply to get 3, 1 and 3 are the only things that multiply to get 3. So if we're subtracting, we will get 2. +3, -1 gives me a +2. There's no reducing needed, so I get 1 plus 1x plus 3. If you want to write it out first, you can. And then 1x minus 1. So this actually wants you to put the negative there. Number 4. Okay, so this is going to be multiplying, but when you square something, you're going to have to multiply it 2x minus 6 times 2x minus 6. And you can do box, or you can do distributing, I'm going to do distributing. Remember that x times x is x squared minus 12x minus 12x plus 36. A negative times a negative is a positive. And then I have x's that I can put together, 4x squared minus 24x plus 36. So that is F, but you need to make sure that whenever you see this squared piece, you write it out twice. That doesn't just mean distribute the squared. Again, factors. Now this is a special case. Always look for that GCF first. And there is a GCF if you're going to use your calculator. I showed you on Desmos a minute ago, but if you're going to use the calculator, you're going to do menu 2, 5. You can do on the calculator only 2 numbers. So 4. So when we take out a 4, we have 9x squared minus 16. And if you notice, 9 is a perfect square and 16 is a perfect square. So we can use our shortcut. Now, C is negative, so this is going to be different. So I have something x minus something, something x plus something, and my 4 is out front. Well, the square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 16 is 4. So my answer for this one will be C. You can, of course, use snowflake on that. Area tells you right here, length times width. So, or base times height. So we're going to multiply 2x minus 6 and 5x plus 4. And again, you can use box or you can distribute. Don't forget though that x times x is x squared, and a positive times a negative is a negative. And you can use your calculator to double check that math if you need to. A negative 30 and a positive 8 is a negative 22. So our answer is going to be H or C. Again, we have a quotient, have a little bit of extra space down here. I know you don't, so you'll need to maybe squish it, or there is space on the back of the paper. So when we do this, we have to, again, start with that first term. X times x is x squared, but here's the mistake people are making. You have to make sure that you distribute on both. Change your signs. Negative 5x minus 11. And then divide your current first terms. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. But you also have to do it on the negative 2x. So plus 10. Change your signs. That is where we struggle sometimes. We're going to get, oh, I apologize. See, and my signs were wrong here. A positive 2 times a negative 5. This should have been a negative 10. So when I change it, it becomes a positive. Signs are super important. And this is our remainder. So x minus 5 minus 1 over this beginning piece. So that is going to be letter B. This is just distributing. You could also draw a 1 by 2 if you needed to, if that is something that helps you. Either way, negative 36a squared minus 28a. Right? So remember, when we are distributing, we have to add those exponents. Okay? On the back, this is, again, no symbol in between the parentheses, so you have to multiply. And again, you can do a box, or you can just distribute 3x to the third plus 5x squared minus 9x minus 15x squared minus 25x. I'm going to kind of go into that other space because I ran out of room. And then 45. So I get 3x cubed right here, combining like terms, minus 10x squared. If you're not sure about negative 9 and negative 25, you can use your calculator. It is going to be a negative 34. And then we have the positive 45. So this one is D. And again, you can graph this and you can graph your answer. And if they overlap, you know you did it right. Here, factoring C, this is a positive, so it's going to be the same as B. And also, these are perfect squares, so this is actually going to be a shortcut. You can always do snowflake. Square root of 16x squared is 4x, and the square root of 9 is 3. And they're minus because that is what B is. So we can write 4x minus 3, the whole quantity squared, because we have 2 of them. All right, this is exponent rules. I'm going to rewrite because I don't have a lot of space there. And on this bottom piece, we're going to make sure we put those ones, right? If there's not a 1 exponent, we need to write it. And we know that we need to distribute. So now I have 32 x8 y6 over 2 to the third x to the third y to the third. Now we talked way back in the last unit, regular numbers, regular math. So if I put that into my calculator, 32 divided by, and I can do 2 to the third power, which is 8, we get 4. And then I have dividing. Dividing is like a big minus sign. So I'm going to say 8 minus 3 is 5, and 6 minus 3 is 3. Unfortunately, you cannot plug that in to double check it. All right, here, again, we're multiplying. If it's squared, we're writing it twice. So 64x squared minus 40x minus 40x plus 25. So when I put those together, right here, this is going to be a negative 80x. So it is J. All right, so I know this one has fractions, but we're not going to freak out. We have a calculator to do fractions for us. So we're going to distribute here. 1/4 times, right? 3/4. Okay. Oh, I didn't do that right. I apologize. 1/4, we got to do control divide first. Times, and then control divide. 3/4. Having some technical difficulties there. 3/4. There we go. So 3/16, and remember x times x is x squared. 1/4 times 1 is just positive 1/4. If you don't know, 2 times 3/4, you can always use your calculator. So 3 over 2 positive, and 2 times 1 is 2. And then we just need to add these, right? So we know 3/16x squared. And then we got to do 1/4 plus 3 over 2. And we want to leave them fractions, so we get a fraction answer. You can see our answer has fractions. So 7/4 x plus 2 is this last answer down here. Last question. All right, so when it talks about k, it doesn't want you to write k equals. You're still going to need to do your snowflake. AC, B, C is negative, so our signs are different. Plus and minus, my A is 1. So the only factors of 7 are 1 and 7. Now I want a positive 6, so it has to be a positive 7. Swing these forward. 1x plus 7 and 1x minus 1. Well, 1x plus 7 is right here. So this, what does k need to be? K needs to be minus 1. And when you put that on the computer, you only want to put that minus 1 question or symbol. Even though there's a plus here, you still type -1, but don't put k equals. Good luck.